Hi, Spicy. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So let's just get right into it, girl, because whew, Anthony was your final two in this game, and he was the HOH that took you out of the game. So I just want to ask you already, how are you feeling about that?
Ugh, I feel extremely betrayed, like literally shocked, disgusted, like would have had his back to the end. I can't believe he turned on me and sent me home. Like it's really unrespectable and I'm not loving it.
hmm So, speaking of Anthony and you guys came into this game as veterans and you played this game with a bunch of newbies. So, when you walked in the house, how do you feel like that affected the way that you wanted to play this game?
Yeah, like I knew that I would have a target on my back having played the game before. Like people seem to think you're some sort of expert because you played the game before when that's not the case. So I really just wanted to try and like be my authentic self and let the other house guests know that I am very much coming into a new theme, a new cast, new competitions, just like they are. And, just be my fun, authentic self and hope that they gravitated towards that and wanted to keep me around.
That's fair. So, we saw throughout the game you kind of played on both sides. You had alliances with almost everyone in the house. And you ended up in the jury house. Do you feel like that hurt your game, or do you feel like it actually helped your game in the end?
A little bit of both. Like I had really good relationships with everyone, and it was a lot different from my first season that people actually wanted to work with me. So I definitely like gave a lot of people my word, and like I was in a lot of alliances. But as the numbers get smaller, it really can affect your game because when it starts to get out who you're working with, people will start to question, oh my God, like, is she closer with them than me or would she turn on me? So you got to be careful of like how many people you give your word, especially as the numbers get smaller.
hmm Okay, so throughout the season, we saw you talk about, protecting your allies in the game, such as Bailey and Todd. And considering now that they were the people who voted to evict you at the end of the day, do you think you could have done that differently, or how do you feel about that?
Yeah, like I definitely wish I had more time to like campaign. I really didn't have like the time to do that. I found out I was going on the block like 2 minutes before the ceremony. Anthony was already having conversations with them. I'm sure promising them things, telling them things that were like blown up. So it was just kind of at the point in the game where they just thought it was like in their best interest to go forward together and not go against the HOH's wishes
hmm
and send me out the door.
hmm Okay, so we saw early on there was the Hot Chocolate Alliance was formed. And then when Avery won her second HOH, there were times that you said you wanted to target Lexus, and then eventually Kayla went home. So I'm kind of wondering, was the Hot Chocolates the alliance you wanted to stick with till the end, or was there like another plan that you had for your end game?
Yeah, like so Lexus was only going up as like a pawn. Like she wasn't really the target at first. So when she caught wind of her being a pawn, that's when Anthony and Lexus got to work to get the rest of us to kind of turn on Kayla so she could go
Mm,
up. And then it kind of turned up into wow, we're actually going to be targeting one of our hot chocolate members. Like some of what they were saying was true, some of it wasn't. But unfortunately, the truth was kind of enough. I very much did want to go extremely far with the Hot Chocolate Alliance because it had not only my final two with Anthony in it, but it had
mhm,
like three strong Black women that I was pumped to play this game with. So
mhm.
for me, it was like a win win. So I actually was devastated when it fell apart.
Yeah, that's fair. Okay, so this week you and Anthony had a lot of conversations, arguments about him feeling like you were working against him in the game. And he said that's why he wanted you out. So, do you feel like those reasons are valid?
No, I don't feel like those are valid at all because I was very honest with him with the game I was playing. I'd be like, hey, like, just so you know, I was in this conversation and this was said. So watch out for this person. Or I'd be like, hey, like, just so you know, like this was said. Like I was very upfront about the game I was playing. I told him that I want people to feel safe to talk around me. So you know what I mean? I was very much in those conversations, but would always keep him up to date and, like not let people target him. So I very much had his
Mhm,
back and I would tell him he knew that's how I was playing the game and he had nothing to say about it until he had power to get me out.
mhm. Okay, so now you are a jury member. You're going to have a vote at the end of the day. Very important still. So, at this moment, who do you think is playing the best game?
I think Bailey, she's really gone through it and has been playing Big Brother, winning stuff, making alliances, being like honest and making moves that are best for her game and the people she really cares about. I really do appreciate a nice, authentic game like that, and I am very proud of her.
Period. So in this scenario that, let's say hypothetically, the final two ends up being Anthony and Bailey, who do you feel like you would most likely give your vote to in that scenario?
Bailey.
Mm-hmm.
At least like she owns like the move she makes and she owns like the people she's working with. Like, you know what I mean? Like she's very much, unlike Anthony, who's been playing like a really messy, like backstabbing game, which I just don't respect. I know that it's Big Brother, but you have to own it, right? You got to own those big backstabbing moves. That's the game. When you're trying to deny it and pin it on other people, like that's just embarrassing.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then in the scenario of Alexis and a Todd, let's say Alexis and Todd are final two. Who do you think in that scenario will be more likely to get your vote?
I would say Todd because Lexus has done nothing this whole game but let Matt, Tola, and Anthony carry her. Like she hasn't tried to make relationships. She doesn't do anything. Like she hasn't won anything meaningful. Like she's just been there. She's literally just sat there this whole game. And as a super fan, I'm not about that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now that the game is over, or it's not over yet, but now that you're out, what is one thing about your game that you feel like you would change if you could go back?
Yeah, like maybe just not giving so many people like my word. Like this cast was so
Mhm.
amazing. I loved everyone. I really wanted to work with everyone. And I feel like that kind of bit me in the butt as the numbers got smaller, right? Because people then start to think, what do you mean you're working with her? So am I. Well, is she closer with me or you? And that like people can start to spiral when they're unsure of where someone's loyalty lies. And
Mhm.
I feel like that's kind of what happened with me. But Anthony knew damn well what he was doing when he said it. So
All right. Well, thank you for speaking with me, Spicy. That was all I had for
of
you. It was
course.
nice talking to you.
Thanks.